Welcome back, everybody, to the Fighting for Freedom podcast. I just want to say thank you to everybody for all your love and support. You guys have helped this channel grow dramatically. If you could please, at this time, drop us a like, comment, subscribe, share our podcast, turn on those bell notifications, and leave us a rating and good review. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Fighting for freedom, one podcast at a time.
Freedom Empire, good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of the pod. Marqueta, how are we doing today?
I'm doing all right. How's it going, Vinny?
I'm doing good. Nice early for you. Nice and midday for me. Thank you for the opportunity to sleep in today.
Absolutely.
So Marqueta, what kind of got you, curious into wanting to be on the podcast?
You know, fighting for freedom, just seeing that title alone resonates with my heart. As an Air Force veteran, I feel like the fight continues even after service, right? And for myself, as a female veteran member, I always want the community to know that I am there for them with the community, still fighting for your freedom. You're never alone and always attaching to the tribe.
I love that. Thank you so much for, not only me reaching out, but you're reaching out and us just connecting. Because honestly, like that's the whole point, right? Like you said, fighting for freedom, right? Like everyone has their own story, and I'm definitely interested to hear Marqueta's story and, the person you are today. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. But let's get into the nitty gritty. So Marqueta, where were you born? Where are you from?
I am born and raised in Los Angeles, California. And I like to say the real Los Angeles because, all of the little sub-communities, everyone that's like in, not even Los Angeles, California, but Southern California is like, I'm from L.A. And, the true L.A. experience, when I got up to go to school in Hollywood in the morning, the police were ushering the homeless off of the street to make sure that the community looks good for the stage. Like, I'm from the gritty, urban, real Los Angeles, born and raised at UCLA Hospital.
Oh, I love it. I kind of get that when, I'll talk to people and I'm from New York, right? I was born in Brooklyn and I grew up in Staten Island. So it's one of the 5 boroughs. As long as you're one of the 5 boroughs or Long Island, it's a very big controversy with Long Island. We kind of say we're from New York, And then we get people, I'm from New York. And I'm like, where? And they're like, Albany. I'm like, nope. Doesn't really count. So I definitely get where you're coming in with that. So grew up in LA, decided to join the Air Force in 1999. What was life for Marqueta at that time?
Yeah, so really at 1999, I was a 19-year-old kid, basically a year out of high school. And again, being from LA, we don't have a lot of recruiters coming to our schools in Los Angeles. I went to all performing arts schools. So I actually had a friend that thought it would be a good idea to join the buddy program one summer. This would be great. For summer, let's join the military. And so we ended up doing our due diligence, searching the white pages for a recruiter. And kind of just stumbled into a recruiting office without a lot of background or research at all. So the recruiter that we went to go speak to was not a reserve recruiter. He was an active duty recruiter who immediately got us to take our ASVAB test and just was like, let's get this ball rolling. So my reserve, this is going to be a fun summer project, turned into let's join the United States Air Force and let's commit and make some purpose with our life.
Wow, so you went into it thinking hey, I'm gonna be in the reserves. That's funny.
Yeah, I went we'll be gone for the summer, come back, hang out once a month. We'll have to do this military thing, not really any research at all. Got active duty, joined the Air Force, went to Lackland Air Force Base for training. Realized really quick that this was a serious decision. And I didn't have a lot of military family members growing up. I had one uncle who I'm named after, Mark, who was a Marine. He was active duty and actually died in service. So I didn't
Oh,
have
I'm
a lot
sorry.
of that, family in the military growing up. Everything that I learned, I kind of learned hands on. And it's
Hmm.
something that I like to kind of help people with now to make sure that when they are going in, they're making informed decisions. Made sure that they have an actual job, a career path, that they're thinking about long term,
Yep.
sign on bonuses, those type of things, just that you know what decision you're making. You've looked at the different branches.
Hmm. Do you kind of help people do that now, like people who are thinking about joining the military?
So I work primarily with veterans. However, I do always have a parent that says, will you talk to my child about joining the military? And
Gotcha.
so when those conversations arise, yes, I'm always trying to say, have we considered different branches? Have we thought about long term and
Yep.
what job we want? Because a lot of kids who are not growing up around the military, they just think, okay, I'm just signing up. It's like
Mm-mm.
this is a whole ecosystem. Every job that you could be interested in the outside world, you can take into your military career. So think about yourself as an individual when you're joining.
I love that. Yeah, a lot of people ask me like, "What's your job in the military?" And I'm like, "Well, by trade, I'm a plumber." And they're like, "Wow, like that's good." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not on a ship either, so it's like I'm like a legit like, I do plumbing like on building, like." And they're like, "Oh, so like you're gonna do that when you get out?" And I'm like, "That's definitely the intention, because I'm gonna take full advantage of this career and use it when I decide to get out of the military, whenever I do decide to get out." So that would definitely be a big piece of advice. Or even when people ask me, like I hope no one shoots down somebody's idea of like their goal and like their dream to be in the military, but just let them know like, hey, like, there's what is your plan? Like what do you want to do? What do you want to get out of it? Yeah, I get you want to join, but have you done any research? Have you read into it?
Right.
Definitely.
A lot of people
So
think too, like this idea of just, oh, that's how I'm going to get my education benefits. And it's like, okay, let's think about you as an individual and as a person.
yeah. Yeah, you could be like Marqueta, who thinks she's going to go in to be a reservist. The next thing you know, she's being flown all over the all over the
Totally.
state.
The other thing I did was
Yeah.
I went in open general. Recruiter told me, you have great ASVAB scores. You go in open general, and they're just going to give you a great job when you get to base. So that's something I like to educate people on as well. It's like,
Yeah.
know what you're signing up for. Choose your career field.
Hmm.
And in the United States Air Force, the services career field, they say if you go in open general, you're a cook or cop, right? And well, that's what I
Okay.
used to always say. Okay. And so in the Air Force, it's the services career field, which is cooking, but it's also hospitality overall. So we learned how to run the fitness center, the dining facility, the community center. We also did mortuary affairs, lodging. So it was a
Oh,
well-rounded,
that's nice.
that I did take with me
Yeah,
in
definitely.
management and in hospitality overall. I worked in hospitality for years.
Oh, that's very nice. Yeah, I like jobs like that. I'm definitely a people person, as you can tell, right? Doing a podcast, talking to people all day long. I love to talk to people. That sounds like
Right.
not a bad gig. I mean, because you can do the same thing like in the Navy, but then you go undez is what they call it, and then you just end up on a ship in the middle of the ocean, just chipping paint and repainting. That doesn't sound too fun.
That doesn't sound great. No.
No, not at all. Okay, so you're stationed. You were stationed at Whiteman Air Force Base, correct? And
Yes.
where did your career take you from there?
So I was at Wyman Air Force Base, and pretty much I did one enlistment, but during my enlistment happened to be 9/11 throughout during my service time. So I was actually
Yep.
sent to Saudi Arabia for an exercise a week before 9/11 happened. So again,
Oof.
Air Force, they call us, people say Chair Force.
Mm-hmm.
We were sent to villas at Escon Village. So it's like, 8 of us with two in a bedroom and common space and going by the pool and learning. We're setting up bingo night because that's
Yeah,
what
yeah, yeah.
my career field did when we were deployed. And a week later 9/11 happened. And when you're in a third world country and serving in the military, it's not like you're looking at TV all day. So,
Mm-hmm.
our information was coming from the top, and it was pretty much like, America's under attack. And I think for probably at that point, it was just really a sense of what's going to happen. Where is this going to lead to? How far is this going to go? And so I was in Saudi Arabia for about 100 days. I ended up working for the third Star General, who is
Oh,
Lieutenant
nice.
General Wald, who was running the air portion of the war, as his enlisted aide. So I was kind of the wrong gender to work for a male military member, not right in rank, but here we were in a real world situation. And so it was, very interesting. It led to things like me being issued a vehicle on base because I had to run errands for the general. But
Hmm.
in order to leave the base, I had to sign out a male military member to drive for me because women in Saudi Arabia aren't allowed to drive. I learned quickly the
Really?
first time I signed out a male military member, because back then rules and regulations have changed. But when I was in
Hmm.
Saudi Arabia as a female military member, I had to wear my full desert BDUs, wear an abaya over that, and a full hijab. So, only my eyes are showing. Yeah, back then they made military women
Really?
wear the same. Yes. So the first time we
Wow.
went off base in my government issued vehicle, and I've signed out a male military member to be able to drive the vehicle so I can get off base, we were
Hmm.
surrounded by police within a mile because I was sitting in the front seat. And women weren't also not allowed to sit in the front seat unless they were married to the man. So they're looking at this as an
Oh,
American military
gotcha.
member. Why is this woman in front?
Wow. But you're military, so I thought maybe they would kind of let it slide. I guess not. I guess you gotta.
Yeah, you have to do the right thing. So I learned that I had to sit in the back, sign out a male military member, sit in the back, and then I don't know if they still have these, but back back in my day, we had a lanyard that we basically wore on our neck in Saudi Arabia, our, as we called it, our dumb American card. Like,
Mm,
whatever I just did wrong, I am
yeah.
so sorry.
Yeah, yeah. Like I have the fullest intentions to not be disrespectful
I
right
am
now. I
not
am
trying to be
so sorry.
disrespectful
Yeah.
in any
Yeah.
way. Please guide me
Yeah.
back to my base and we will
Yeah.
apologize more.
Yeah. I have some Reese's Pieces at the next I can go buy you. Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
Please
That's
forgive me
actually
for whatever I just did.
crazy. Then I didn't know it was like that. It's probably still not like it's probably not like that now. I guess this was just you know
It's not,
20.
there's actually, I can't think of her name, but there's a Air Force captain that fought for that to be changed. Because,
Okay, good.
because of things like that, it confuses, and I understand that we were trying to pay like respect to cultures, but,
Hmm.
it just, if we're military personnel, we should be dressed as military personnel to cut down on the
Yeah.
confusion. But again, one of those things as being a female military member that people don't think about unless you're a woman military member. I mean, being in desert BDUs with a black abaya and a hijab, like
Yeah,
in
you can't really.
120-degree weather.
Yep. And plus, like, if you're sitting in a car, like, you're kind of cut off from what people can see, so that all they see is a hijab, and they're just probably like, what's that? So yeah, I know. I definitely do get that. Plus, it's hot, so yeah, I just wouldn't want to do that.
Extremely.
I guess it was kind of cool though to maybe like like I don't want to say blend in with the culture, but like learn the culture and kind of just like get familiar with like the civilians that are living there. But at the same time, you're like it's hot, and you're not able to like you're the U.S. military, so like when you have things to do, like you're like we gotta go, like we can't be stopping, for these little things when like we got things to do.
Yeah. So that was
Yeah.
very interesting, being deployed during 9/11 and then returning back to base and trying to, readjust. I had a 1-year-old son at the time, and also my 1-year-old son didn't even recognize me because I was gone for months, and he's a baby. So
Hmm.
that was kind of one of the stemming points in my life when I really had to turn to community and like figure out what my
Okay.
next steps were and how I was supposed to process, and got really involved with like the base chapel and started building my community on base, which was very helpful because a year and a half later, I was supposed to be deployed to Jordan, but I had to take the anthrax inoculation to make that happen. And I refused that inoculation process. I had less than a year left in my enlistment, 6 months left. The inoculation call was a year and a half series, but it was a lawful order back then. It's no longer a lawful order for you guys now, I'm pretty sure. Well, I know it's not. It's
Hmm.
not a lawful order anymore, but it was then. So it wasn't that I was refusing the vaccination. I was disobeying a lawful order.
Yeah,
So again,
that kind of just happened with like the whole COVID vaccine too.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was looking at that when that
Hmm.
was happening, and I was thinking about, yes, it reminded me of my time in that situation. And advocating for yourself. I did reach out home and I did advocate for myself. I was able to get like some character letters, some things to actionable advocacy. But I wish I would have been more brave in standing up for myself, in the fact that my service was honorable and I did want to continue my service.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you whatsoever. That's like, to go back and compare it again to the COVID vaccine, where you kind of brought up community. That's kind of what it was like when the COVID vaccine was like a mandated thing. People who were against getting the vaccine, they were like, I don't need it. I'm a 24-year-old male. I'm perfectly healthy. I'm in the military. Like, I'm good to go. I don't need a COVID vaccine. Like, I'll wear a mask, no problem. They kind of formed like their own community in a way, and they were like, we're not getting the vaccine. Like, we don't need it. We'll be fine. Like, I haven't got COVID, or I have got it, and it was just a 2-day thing, and I'm perfectly fine now. And those people actually stuck together. And now, long story short, the vaccine isn't a mandated thing no more. You don't need the vaccine to be in the military. And if you got, honorably discharged for not getting the vaccine, they're allowing you to come back in the military if you actually want to. So it was just kind of like what's going on? I guess you can compare that very, comparably to you and what you went through.
Right. And I think the biggest difference is what you said, that community came together and kind of said, hey, this is what we're doing. Because there's always power in numbers, period. Mm-hmm. Just like the military, 100%. There's power in numbers, and that just having a community to support you and say, hey, we're all in this together. And yeah, that's definitely something I could have used more of then. Like I said, I did turn to my own community. But again, since I've been out of the military, I did not receive a misconduct discharge. I did not get an article. However, I was released from service. Didn't even know that I was a veteran after that. I thought like that chapter was done. I didn't even know that I was a veteran. I knew that I was in the military for 3.5 years. But that was just like a closed chapter to me.
Yeah. And like, wow, the reserves is long.
And so it took almost a decade through when I was going through a very trying period that someone brought to my attention, like, you were in the military. I'm pretty sure you can get help. And I was just kind of like, I don't even know what that means. Like, I didn't retire. I'm not a veteran. And it's like, weren't you in for some years? Like, I'm pretty sure you are a veteran. Yeah. And, even now today, like, I'm involved with a lot of organizations, but the Military Women Memorial in DC, that's even on their website, is they're trying to get women to tell their story and to be on this national memorial. And on the website, it says a lot of women don't even know that they're veterans.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people don't, like, maybe now more people are starting to realize, like, hey, if you served in the military, you're a veteran when you get out, right? That's like the one thing I see is a lot of communities, like on Facebook or on Instagram, or just, people in general, like forming communities for veterans to help veterans. And I think I think that's amazing. And I'm glad someone told you that, hey, you're a veteran. You know that, right? You're like, oh,
listen,
okay.
Completely changed the trajectory. It's like, now this is like my community, my hub, my squad. I want to be the resource to help other military members, navigate. Also, being an entrepreneur, there's so many veteran resources for us that, again, knowledge is power, right? So we just have to communicate so that we're sharing that knowledge with each other so that we can help each other.
Yes. So given that, what exactly are you doing right now as an entrepreneur to help the community?
Okay, so, well, my main business, Oliver Davis Consulting, is a digital marketing company. And we found that we were already kind of tending to work with female business owners overall. But then at the beginning of the year, we joined Bunker Labs. Have you heard of Bunker Labs?
No, I have not.
So Bunker Labs, check out Bunker Labs. So Bunker Labs is a national organization that is hosted locally for entrepreneurs, active duty, military spouses specifically. So they have 3 different programs. One is called Breaking Barriers in Entrepreneurship, which is a 6-week cohort that's broken down by demographics to help launch your business. There's a 6-month cohort called Veteran in Residence Program. And then there's a 1-year program called the CEO Circle, but your business has to be grossing $1 million a year to be in the CEO Circle.
Gotcha.
Bunker Labs was actually just awarded on the CMAs that passed about a month ago. Blake Hogan, the president, received $50,000, and then Crown Royal did this kind of, if you click on this link, they'll do $1 for every click to Bunker Labs as well.
Oh, that's
So,
nice.
yeah, it's totally an entrepreneur business cohort incubator. So for the 6 months that we were in, it wasn't just exposing to networks, but we met in person weekly for those 6 months. And then we also had the opportunity to meet with the national cohort. So even though we're here in Las Vegas, we have opportunity to network with everyone. So last week, the entire cohort graduated all over the country in different cities across. But we were able to attend the Military Influencer Conference, the MCON Conference, Women Veteran Alliance Unconference, just all of these networking places to be in the right room. A lot of how to find grant funding, guiding us connected to, we have a Southern Nevada, Vegas Chambers of Commerce, just legwork that you may need in any area of your business. Bunker Lab kind of helps connect the dots for you. And then now you have this network of people that you stay connected to. So there's like a whole Bunker family.
Oh, wow. That's nice. So that's the Bunker family is like your community now, right?
It is. So while we were going through Bunker Labs, working on our digital marketing business, we were at all of these women, different conferences, and we really niched down and started thinking about our nonprofit that we wanted to launch. And that's how we came up with She Served Sheroes, which we launched through the podcast and the community. But we definitely want to grow to be a full veteran service organization.
Nice. So you do a podcast as well?
We do a podcast
called
She Served Sheroes. And we talk to women veteran who also happen to be business owners. And we're kind of sharing like from your military career to who you are now. We kind of talk about that. When you get out, there's an adjustment period that is more than TAPS covers, the transition assistance program. Yes. And that's where a lot of gaps, are for a lot of military members. The getting out, acclimating to being a civilian, and then going into your civilian endeavors. And it's that space in between where people often feel alone. And that's kind of the space we're trying to attack and be a resource for. You're not alone when you get out. And we're here to help you navigate this next path.
Okay. So what advice would you have for somebody who's about to transition from active duty to the civilian side that you have seen from experience?
Yeah, I would definitely say, one, find your tribe. Everybody's tribe is not the same, but you can find networks based on anything that you're interested in. If you're going to start leveraging social media to start getting in veteran communities, maybe in where you're going to be going to once you get out, or if you know what specific market or industry you're interested in, start networking with those areas. And generally, you're going to find the veteran community within there. And the veteran community, to me, is just kind of unlike any other community. You want to be tapped into the veteran community because your brothers and sisters are still going to link arms with you and help you get to the next spot. So I think that finding your tribe, building your community, and being active, I hear the phrase, your network is your net worth. And I totally believe by that. I believe that,
like that.
Who you surround yourself is definitely an implication of who you are. And so your tribe is valuable.
Yeah, no, definitely. And for anyone listening that's like, okay, well, how do I find the tribe, right? You can literally find the tribe anywhere. I'm pretty sure that you have friends who were in the military with you and got out prior to you getting out, right? Contact them. I'm pretty sure they would love to reminisce about the military or let you know any insight into what they're doing and how they're doing it. Also, how me and Marqueta met. Social media, right? Just outreach. Social media is so annoying. I hate it. You gotta keep up with it. You gotta, check it. It's so time consuming, but it's a very valuable asset for people who are transitioning out of the military, people who have questions, veterans who are going through situations that are like, you'll be fine. This is how you do it. A, B, C, and D, and all is well. Find your community, find a community within your niche that you have questions about.
Exactly. And social media is powerful, these different groups. I mean, I'm in a group, looking to be a podcast guest as I'm growing my podcast. And someone reached out to me to say, hey, did you have a baby while you were in the military? There's a podcaster who does birth stories while you were in the military. So
Yep.
again, just being in the space, you open yourself up to more opportunity. And it's always good to be connected to a VSO, a veteran service officer, that
Hmm.
can help navigate you through the VA healthcare. And of course, a VSO that does your services is absolutely free. You should not have to pay to figure out
Nope.
how to get healthcare services with the VA.
Hmm. I always like to tell people, so like, like when you go on something and like you have to scroll and read the terms and agreements and then just click yes. Granted, most of the time you're just going to scroll, agree, and click yes. But before you dive deep into whatever you're wanting to get into, if you have questions, you can't ask a computer, right? So reach out and ask other people that are doing the same thing you're doing, right? So if you're looking to open up a veteran-owned restaurant, find someone who has a restaurant, whether it be a food truck or, just selling tamales out of their house or, an actual big restaurant, and be like, hey, like, do you have like 10 minutes of your time that I can just throw some questions at you and you just give me some answers? Everybody is doing everything out there. Like you just said, having a birth while in the military, there's a podcast about it. It's crazy. It's
Exactly.
crazy.
Anything you can think of is out there. And also like meetups. Again, same thing, niche,
Yes.
but yeah, going to meetups. There's like a lot of tech meetups here where I am, but they're phenomenal. And, I know that the goal in where I'm living in Vegas is to be like the next Silicon Valley. So they're very
Mm.
big on like tech meetups, industry parties, and just connecting and networking. And, it is really all about networking. So when you're out there looking for help, there are people out there looking to help.
Yes, exactly. That's one thing I'll say about the veteran community is, like, for example, me and you and people that I've done podcasts with in the past. It's a simple like, hey, like, you want to be my guest? Like, just, I don't know you, you don't know me, but you want to talk for an hour? And people are like, yep, no problem. When? And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, not even like a, hey, what's your pitch? Or like, what are you gonna do for me? It's just like, yeah, sure, no problem. I got you. I'm like, all right, I love that.
And you never know what
And
it
I'm
leads to, because a lot of times relationships form
exactly.
and then it's like, hey, look at where we are now. Who knew? But, we
Yeah,
have to be comfortable with
exactly.
actually putting ourselves out there, one, and then two, establishing relationships. When someone
Hmm.
does inbox and say, hey, it could be a scam, you could totally ignore it. But what does it hurt to take the time to say, hey, how's it going back?
Yep, exactly. Now, I'm curious. So, like, your specialty would be, it's females opening veteran-owned businesses, correct?
For the most part, yes. Veteran-owned
Okay.
business, females. And
So,
so we want to
no,
be a service
after you.
organization for veteran women overall that may not feel comfortable going into traditional service organizations. It's just that as we're
Hmm.
starting our community and who our network naturally is, the majority happen to be business owners as well, and sharing network and resources on getting your business to the next level. So that's what we've really been focusing on with the podcast.
I love that. I love that. That's great. What would you say is like step one would be for someone who's listening and is like, oh, maybe I'm scared to reach out to, Marqueta, and I just want to look into it. Like, what would be step one for that person?
I would say look into your local SBA, small business, right there. Start there. There are so many veteran programs, and I don't want to start rattling off acronyms, but there are there are a lot of veteran. I think they're Veteran Outreach Business Center (VOBC) that you can find through the SBA, and there's just if you can get a mentor directly with the SBA, you're going to find a lot of help in getting your business registered correctly. Every city, state, county has different regulations. So
Hmm.
being with a great setup, Small Business Administration from the beginning, SBA, making sure that your ducks are in a row. There's all kind of mentoring programs that are for free, especially for veterans, veteran programs. If you just reach out to the SBA, even just going online, they have a great program called Boots to Business, but
Oh,
that will
okay.
structure your business for you on the SBA. But outside of that, I just think that that's a great resource to start. You can find a lot of resources just from starting there. A lot of veteran chambers of commerces are developing around the country. So I would look in to see if there's a veteran chamber of commerce in your area as well.
Okay. What now? Let's just say they reach out, they find their mentor, and they finally build up the courage to contact Marqueta to inquire about Marqueta and her business. How would somebody go about doing that?
So you can find me, She Served Sheroes, on any social media platform just to kind of figure out what we're about. But if we're looking for services and you need help with your digital marketing, and that could be anything from social media management to setting up your email marketing and your funnels, or digital brand presence, learning your voice and how to brand yourself, building out CRMs, learning management systems. So depending on what that person needs, I'm at oliverdavisconsulting.com. Oliver Davis is the name of our company. And so same thing on all social media. You can find Oliver Davis Consulting. And also if you're looking for a community of women, She Served Sheroes.
Easy day, easy day. And if you're interested in all that tech, Vegas, as she said, is up and coming. Complete opposite to their football team. But
Oh, you didn't see the game last night.
but hey, you want to know what? So not the game that was just yesterday, that, as we're saying, right? I'm talking about the game last weekend. For those of you already know what happened when the Vikings played the Raiders. I am an actual Vikings fan. So
Okay.
how about we just agree to disagree that game just never happened? Okay, because that was awful. That was atrocious, and I was just like, like I think they said the last game that would have ended in a tie was in like 1949 or something like that. Could you imagine if that game would have ended in a tie? I'm like, wow, we both just broke a record for being like probably the worst football game in history.
Yeah,
You
I'm
guys
from
have
LA in 80s, so I've been stuck with the Raiders my whole life. So
yeah, it's a coincidence how not only they moved from California to Vegas, but so did you.
oh yeah, I mean that was a part of the plan actually. My husband, he was a super Raiders fan.
And he was like, "We're going. I gotta see them."
Oh yeah, we used to play here all the time. We came and visited when they were building the Allegiant Stadium. So yeah, we're totally into the journey. We were in a booster club for the Raiders. So we actually have a brick.
Oh, really?
Yes, with our
Oh,
Allegiant Stadium.
what? Oh, that is a good core memory. You're gonna pass that down to your child and be like, why do I need this brick? like you don't understand what we went through for that brick. Yeah. We paid good money for that. Yeah. Even though the team
Yeah.
That's okay. Yeah. You can't be mad about it. It's still your team. All right. Let's segue back to reality for us, right? Is there any overall advice for what you and your business and your community is doing that you would like the people to know?
I think that one thing I like to remind and inspire people of is that no matter where you are in your journey, you still have time to do what your mission is. You don't have to be complacent and feel like, well, I didn't do this well, or I didn't seize this opportunity. If you're hearing this right now and it's kicking some kind of light of inspiration, like, I wish I could just take a step, take that one step, take that one step. And then if you need a community to help keep cheerleading you on, She Served Sheroes is here for you. I mean, for myself, we say this word resilient, and it's a love-hate word that I have, right? Because I've definitely gone through things from being my upbringing in childhood to my military service to further on behind that. And as I was just talking about our Raiders affinity, I lost my husband, so I'm also a widow. So I've overcome a lot throughout of my life. And so that resilient word, it's kind of like a dagger, but it is also very empowering. It's like, I've gone through some of the lowest lows, but having accountability makes me wake up and go forward each day. Tons of therapy as well. Don't be afraid to go to therapy. I don't want to discredit that at all. But also the accountability of having a community saying, this is the business that I'm doing. And then having a network there to support you that's going to call in and say, so how did this go? Did you get that checklist item that you wanted checked off? Or whatever it is to keep you focused. I can't preach community enough because, like I said, when I've been at my very, very, very lowest moments, when I could not stand, it's been the hands of community that have lifted me up, kept me going, and keeps me charged to do the work that I do now. So a lot of times people like to say, well, you're just bubbly and outgoing. I like to make it very clear. Depression is real. I have experienced tremendous lows. And so when I say community saves my life, I literally mean community will save your life. I know it because they've been there for me. I lost my husband 4 months after being in Las Vegas. I did not know a lot of people in Las Vegas at all, but the veteran community, tapped me into resources because, just quick blurb. When I was going through grief therapy, at the VA, I couldn't find someone that I identified with that could be therapy for me at that position in my life. I knew I needed therapy. I also did not have a budget for grief therapy at the time. Another resource that I reached out to that I love is Wounded Warrior Project. Wounded Warrior Project, it is for any warriors, OEF, OIF, that are service connected. And all of their resources are free as well. But they will provide you with 12 therapy sessions, yourself or a family member, just by signing up with them. So even if you had a child or a significant other that needed therapy, you can get those type of services and get that connection. So again, I say don't suffer in silence. If I'm giving advice, don't suffer in silence. Reach out to community and ask for help because there's probably a resource that can help you for whatever it is you're trying to attain.
No, definitely. I had no clue that they gave that Wounded Warrior Project gave 12 free sessions. That's actually very valuable information. Thank you for that. Yeah, I feel like every time I hop on a podcast with somebody, I literally learn something new. And I literally have a notebook that I just write down like all like my, survival guide tips to it, and it's just full, and that one's going in the book as well. I translate them all from Post-it note to book.
There you go.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for that. Do you have any advice for the people listening right now that are potentially thinking about joining the military?
Yes. Again, my advice, if you are considering joining in the military, I would say make sure you do your homework first. Know that this is an elite group, a lifelong decision to be an elite group member where you are going to, if you're not already a natural born leader, you're going to learn to be a leader and an effective leader because you know how to follow. So I would say whatever your job is, if you join the military, hone in on those leadership skills because they will definitely guide you throughout the rest of your civilian life. We are natural leaders. Tap into the resources while you're in the military and continue your leadership when you get out of the military.
Yeah, that kind of piggybacks into like, what would you have done differently with the knowledge you know today, right? Probably done more research, maybe, had an idea and actually pursued the idea, or, the anthrax whole ordeal, right? You probably would have done more research into that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then again, like, you are who you are today because of what happened in your past. So I honestly commend you for every decision you've ever made. I think it's the best decision.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody should discredit themselves for thinking, oh, I could have done this differently. Yeah, you could have, but you're not who you are today because you did what you thought was right.
Absolutely. And like how I said, when I didn't know that I was a veteran, it's, yeah, it was, something that it wasn't all great experiences, right? So it was a lot that I shied away from and I didn't want to talk about in my military experience. However, now again, in retrospect, everything has made me who I am. And what I gained, the value I gained, like I said, I was kind of like a hippie child going to the beach every day in LA. So the structure, the discipline, everything that I have now, I do respect and, attribute the military a lot for growing me up and shaping me. To me, it was my college experience that was far more intensive because there were no like dorm parties.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. We have to be thankful for, again, community and, the things and the path that has been paved for us that we paved or somebody else helped us pave to get to where we are today.
Yes.
Marqueta, do you have any questions you want to ask me? I feel like I've been obviously interviewing you the whole time, trying to dig into you the whole time. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, I just want to see what is the vision for this podcast. I see what you're doing right now, but what is your goal for the podcast? Because I think it's dynamic. Your page looks great. And what's
Thank
next
you.
for FFF?
Thank you. Well, if you need any help from me, if you have any questions about what I do, and if you see something I post and you're like, well, how'd you do that? Or if you need anything, just feel free, reach out. I am literally an open book. I do everything myself. I'm a one-man army out here. I have a cousin who she works for I think it's CoverGirl. She's like their social media person. So she's been behind the scenes helping me out, doing like
Nice.
some, yeah, because like I said before, I hate doing all this social media stuff. So she's been a really big help. Shout out to her. It's actually her birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday. When we release this episode, it won't be her birthday anymore, but right now, today, it's her birthday.
And she'll know she had the shout out on her birthday. That's what counts.
Yes, she will. My slay girl. Yeah. No, but to get back to your question and what I actually want for this, like I started this podcast as one of those, I want to learn how to ride a bike, and you just never do it, right? I want to lose 20 pounds, and you just never end up doing it. This was something that I just had a goal, and I was tired of saying, I want to do this and not doing it. So I just got up one day and I said, I'm going to start it. I found somebody who's like one of my mentors now. Shout out Hector Bravo. He was a bigger, influencer on, social media and YouTube. And he's a veteran. He served, in the United States Army, and then he went to work for the California Department of Corrections. And I reached out to him. Just like, I hope he answers me, right? This will be fun. And he did. And he was actually one of my first guests. And ever since then, we just been taking off. So I just want people to not be afraid to just pursue their goals and see me and my goal and how far it takes me,
That's awesome, right? There's only one you. We can only be us. And you have to try to do the most you can, the best you can while you're here. I'm in a space definitely from the loss that I've been through that I want to make an impact, and I want my life to feel purposeful. That feels good.
Exactly.
So I totally understand. I commend you. I am looking forward to seeing all that is in store for you. And I'm just so honored that you had me on today representing She Served Sheroes.
Yeah, of course. That's another thing too, is like, me and my community would want to help Marqueta and her community, and then same for you, vice versa for me. Just a bit like, let's just help grow our community into what we are. Like you were talking about the podcast for women giving birth in the military. They got that covered. I got this covered, but let's just all full circle back and just, I don't know. It's just it's a really good feeling to know that like, the veteran community is huge, and we are forever going to be growing, right? Because people are always forever going to get in and out of the military. So if I can make one impact right now and just do my part, it makes me feel good about myself.
That's awesome. Yes. And also, I know I talked a lot about women veterans, military spouses as well. If there are spouses out there looking for resources, who can I be connected to? Because, spouses move often. There's a marketplace like an Amazon for spouse business specifically called Spousely, and really just growing huge. So just want to plug that as well. If small business owner, if you're looking for a platform, I would say look into Spousely. Monica Fullerton, she's knocking it out of the park.
Love that. Yeah. Shout them all out. I don't care who they are. Shout them all out. Give everyone free promotion. That's like literally what it's all about. It's just our community just backing each other. And I couldn't be more grateful for you coming on to be one of my guests, and just having a great conversation again. Marqueta, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much, and I truly hope every goal and ambition you have comes true.
Likewise, same to you, Vinny. It's been a pleasure.
Views presented are those of the speaker, and the guest do not necessarily represent the views of the Department of Defense or its components. Neither the Department of Defense or its components bears any responsibility for the accuracy, legality, or content of the views discussed on this podcast.